Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Shivani Sharma. I'm the manager here at Giant Accounts Limited. So just waiting for some more people to join. Yeah, so we have few people who've joined. That's good. So I want to thank you all for taking time out and being here today. This is the second webinar in our webinar series, Unlimited. We're going to cover the topics that you said were most important to you. Today's topic is how to best use the free agent in an effective way. Our presenter is Mr. David Ross. He's a senior partner manager with Free Agent. We'll be running a live Q&A at the end of the webinar facilitated by my colleague Holly. So we have enabled our ask a question feature. So it's on right hand side of your screen. So if you have any questions, just pop your questions in there. And if you miss anything, don't worry about it because we'll be sending around the on-demand recording when it's available. I won't take much of your time. Can I request David to please start the presentation?
Excellent. Thanks, Shivani. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for giving up some of your lunch hour to listen to this. What I'm going to do is just cover half a dozen topics that you've asked for. As with all bits of software, there's a lot in Free Agent, but there's a lot of resources that you can find which will help guide you. And also you've got Shivani's team to help you out, as they're all experts in working with Free Agent. So what you're seeing at the moment is an overview screen, which basically is the same for everyone. There's a number of tabs along the top there, which are fairly self-explanatory. And one of the great things about Free Agent is it was built by contractors for themselves. So it doesn't use an awful lot of accounting terminology. It doesn't talk about accounts payable and accounts receivable. It talks about they owe you and you owe them. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of following things. You'll also find in the top right-hand corner, there's always a green button, and that usually means that that's what you need to hit to do something. But let me just take you through this overview page. And if you don't like the format that it is laid out, you just can change it around just to suit yourself. Whatever you feel like doing. So you have your contacts, which are either clients or suppliers. You have your work, which will be invoicing or projects or recurring invoices. Bills, which can often be regular bills that you might owe people, such as your mobile phone bill, your accountant's fees, your office rent, if you have one nowadays. My money, it's the most important part as far as I can work out, which is to do with salaries and dividends and expenses and the like. Banking, which is an extremely important part of Free Agent. It is essentially the beating heart of Free Agent, where you get money coming in and out of the software, and now with machine learning, it will start to guess your transactions and start to do a lot of your bookkeeping for you. And then some taxes, which are fairly standard ones, and the compliance issue, and then accounting reports and the like. Along at the far end is your settings. If you want to put your company logo onto your invoices, if you want to set up email templates, the like, you'll find them in there. There's also a connections area if you want to import certain things, if you want to set up calendar feeds so that you will be reminded to do something on your calendar. And then there's the file section where you can store key documents, accounts. You can store, your company registration form, insurance documents, anything like that. It's entirely up to you, and it's secure. There's also time slips if you want to have that. And there's a new feature here for searching out areas if you need to find something in your accounts work. Banking, we aggregate all your bank accounts. You can have a multitude of bank accounts in there, whether it's a savings account, whether it's a euro account, dollar account. It's entirely up to you. We'll do the foreign exchange currency calculations every night, sorry, to reconcile them. You have a mini P&L there. By the way, please ignore some of the figures in my demo account, because this is me just messing around with things and showing people what it looks like rather than it actually making 100% of sense. But it will just show income and expenses and some profit and profit brought forward from previous years, any dividends taken, and any corporation tax liability that's building up. There's a tax timeline in terms of some key compliance issues that might be coming up, such as VAT returns or tax payments that are due. We have some expenses. Now, the crucial thing about expenses in free agent speak, these are out-of-pocket expenses. So these are expenses that you have paid with your personal bank account or your cash, not using your company bank account to pay or buy lunch or buy something like a train ticket. That will show up in your banking section. And then bills, if you have any bills that are outstanding, again, please don't take these literally. They are just demo there. Then there's an invoice timeline, and it's a traffic light system. Anything that's overdue, anything that's been paid is in green. Any outstanding invoices, any estimates and projects that you may well have done. Then there's a mini cash flow down here, which quite frankly, I don't particularly like. I don't think it's that great, so I don't really focus on it too much. And as you can see, everything's hyperlinked. So you click on something, it will take you to the banking page. So everything here is hyperlinked to make life as easy as possible for you. And then right down at the bottom, there's a knowledge base here, which I'm not going to click into it because it takes me off my demo page, but it will show you how to do things, and it will give you some screenshots and some videos and some examples of how to do things, and you're very welcome to dive into there. But what I wanted to show you here was up here. The easiest way of navigating around free agents software is just hit this quick links button, and then as you can see, it will take you to all these various areas within the software. So it's nice and easy to navigate there. But I'm just going to follow a little pattern here, which I was asked to do. So setting up a new contact. Now, a contact will either be a supplier or a customer. We need them both in there. So let me just be very non-specific and do the usual Joe Blogs of Blogs PLC. And then you've got all the rest of it here, an email address. I'll just put one in, which may or may not make sense. Let's hope it doesn't be a real one. A billing email address, telephone, mobile numbers, invoicing addresses. I'm not going to fill it all out. It's pretty straightforward. Your normal payment terms, if you want to use, if it's VAT registered or not, as if it's out there, and then just hit the create the new contact. And then it will take you straight into the contacts, and you will have a summary of any transactions that you've had with that particular client or supplier over the years, and just some basic details there. So as I said, you need a new contact in wherever you are going to invoice somebody or explain a bank transaction to as a payment from a client. Click on to invoicing. So we'll invoice. So we can, if you have all your contacts in there, we just put in Blogs PLC. But we'll use this one actually because, we'll just use Bland PLC. Is it project? is a new invoice with a reference number. It will just click on each time. It's today's date, it's 30 days, it's in sterling, but it could be in a multitude of currencies, as we do support them all. We actually support the languages for all these currencies as well, in terms of your invoicing. Don't know if any of you are CIS workers, but we do have the ability to create to cope with CIS working. And then if you want to use an email template, which you would set up from the settings, you need to create it, obviously. If you want to create automatic reminders to go out to somebody if they're overdue, and also you could have a thank you email once the guy's paid the invoice. All of these things can be done automatically. And then there's some more options in here, is if there's any discounts, or you need a PO, purchase order number. And also, more importantly, is which bank account do you want this money to go into? Presumably it's your main account, but it could be a euro or dollar account. And obviously, if there's any, at the moment, any EU issues there. And to create the invoice, it's very straightforward. You click on it, it will give your name and address. It will give whichever bank account number you want to send. It would have the full details in there if I'd bothered to type them in. And then you just add in your invoices, which you could have a price list if you wanted to. We'll just call this website development, and it's £500, and we'll create and finish it. So there's the invoice created. You can send it by email to Bland PLC. You could save it as a PDF. For the purposes of this, I'll just mark it as sent, so that it shows up in the accounts, and then obviously it could be paid as well for you. So invoicing is pretty straightforward. And also, if you've got a regular invoice, such as you maybe get paid a monthly retainer, first of every month, £1,000, you can set up a recurring invoice, which again is very straightforward. It's just the same sort of thing. But all you need to do is say how long it's going to run for, for a year, forever, whatever. And then on the first of every month, Free Agent will send out that invoice for you. You don't need to worry about it. It will just go. It's quite useful for where you're billing somebody the same amount every single month. So new bill, if you're, again, you need to put in the supplier, which is from your contacts. Say it's a Vodafone bill. We'll put in a reference number there. It's due in a month's time. It's, I don't know, £120 for argument's sake. And it's your mobile phone. And it could be linked to a project. It could be recurring every month. And you might want to have take a picture of the invoice, so for your records, and then it will just create it for you, and that's there, and it will show up in your bills. If I can find it. Oh no, I've got to refresh it. Oh no, it's not due yet. That's why. I'll just refresh it and see if I can actually. No, as ever, as soon as you do something, it doesn't. Oh, there it is. There. My apologies. I should have done that properly. Expenses. Now, there's two ways of doing it. If we get a chance, I might be able to demonstrate my mobile app to you. But here's the typical way of doing it. So Rose Jones is the director of this company. It's a payment that she's made. It's for coffee, shall we say? And is it linked to an expense? Is it linked to a project? Sorry, is it recurring? And do you have a picture of the receipt? And we just create that expense, and that expense will show up on there as being due to to Rose Jones. It's very straightforward. It's just as easy doing your mileage. We're doing, okay, we'll do that. It's 50 miles. It could be by car, motorcycle, bicycle. If it's by car, we will do the allocation for the first 10,000 miles and then 25 pence a mile thereafter. You've just got to set up if you've used any of your mileage already this year in the personal profile. Are you reclaiming the VAT on that mileage? Is it linked to a project? Does it recur? Just the same sort of things as before. And then we just create a new expense. So again, that will show up in for Rose Jones in terms of her expenses. Now, we talked about banking, and this really is the most important part of Free Agent. Quite frankly, if you set up an open bank feed and download the mobile app, you've got 90% of your day-to-day work already done. So it is really important that you focus in on the banking side. And nowadays with open banking, it's a tremendous way of getting data, even up to 7 years of data into Free Agent. So opening up a new bank account, it's either a bank account, credit card, PayPal account, and we will do the allocation for any PayPal fees as well. So opening up a new bank account is very straightforward. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take me into the bank account, but you want an account name, whether it's a Euro account. As I said, it could be anything like that. It's active. You could make this your primary account if that's going to be your main office account. The bank name, sort code, all those sorts of things, and any money that's already in the bank account. I would strongly recommend that you take the guess explanations for your transactions. With machine learning, Free Agent will start to work out, oh, here's another entry for Vodafone. That must be your mobile phone bill. Here's another entry for I don't know, your office rent, and it will just start to guess them. And all you then need to do is tick the approval. You don't need to do any more work on that. And then there are some more options in terms of if you've got international payments coming in. Here's my demo account. That's what I suggest that you do straight away. Enable the bank feed. Again, I'm not going to go into this because it will take me into their bank account. But as you can see, we have open bank feeds with all of these banks, which are the majority of the banks that our clients use. There's a couple out there that still haven't set up open bank feeds, such as Metro Bank and Clydesdale Bank. And in those ones, you could upload bank statements in various forms. It's just a bit more manual for you. But with this one, then basically, I don't know, HSBC, you would click into it. It's a business bank account. And it's your transaction data, your credentials. So you need to have this information available. And you're giving the bank approval to send information to Free Agent. I'm not going to connect to the bank because it will take me off into their banking environment. But please note that the regulations mean that you need to reconsent your bank open bank feed every 90 days, which is just for security issues for the bank, and it's mandated by the FCA. In the event that for some reason you forget or you miss or you're away on holiday and you don't reconsent till the 95th day or the 97th day, as soon as you reconsent, the bank will feed the missing transaction straight into Free Agent, so it will catch up. So don't get too fussed about that. But it's certainly wise to have that set up. What it then means is that every day, and with some banks twice a day, it will feed in transactions for your approval. Now, this will never appear on your bank page. This shows that I've not explained a whole lot of transactions for the previous 4 years, basically. You should not see that. And as again, it gives a traffic light situation. If it knows what something is, it will say its postage is out of scope of VAT. And as you can see, it's money in and money out. It's very straightforward. Shell, that's going to be fuel. So travel. There's an invoice receipt for your accountant's bill or an accountant's bill. And again, you can click on hyperlink and see the invoice. If you bought a capital asset, you would normally depreciate it over a 2, 3, 4, 5 year period. I would take advice from Shivani and her colleagues on that front, but it means that it's you get the correct depreciation treatment in there, and it will be a capital asset. But Shivani asked me to explain how you would sometimes explain a transaction if it was split between a couple of bills or a couple of invoices. So I'm going to click into this transaction. So there's a drop down, and there's money coming in. It's an invoice receipt. So we want to search for an invoice. What's overdue? So there is a couple here. There's one that's overdue for £900. I could upload a file which showing the copy of the invoice, and I explain that transaction. And basically what it's done is it's split the transactions, £900 against that one. So there's still £102 outstanding. If I click into it, the system's automatically picked up the fact there's a £102 invoice outstanding for the same people. It's an invoice receipt. You explain the transaction, and that's it done. And that's fundamentally the same with any other time that you have to split a transaction. And as you can see, it's now telling me that it's we've explained all the bank transactions on that statement. Now, if you were doing this on a daily basis, you would probably only have 1 or 2 transactions to explain. And if you were using the mobile app, you could do them on the bus going home that night, or the train, or at lunchtime, or when you're watching the TV at night, because it's just exactly the same. The whole idea behind this means that your bookkeeping is up to date. It's up to date, and it allows you to get real-time advice and tax planning advice and accounting advice from your accountant, from Shivani and her team. I mean, I used to work in practice. I did 5 years working in practice, and usually I used to sit down with clients 6 months, maybe even 9 months after the year end. And we'd be going through their accounts with them and saying, well, you made 20 grand profit last year. And people would say, well, how do I reduce my tax bill? Well, the obvious way is you drop 10 grand of that money into a pension plan, and you've immediately saved £2,000 worth of corporation tax, which so happens to cover your accountant's fees straight away, which obviously will please somebody, and will reduce their corporation tax bill down to 2 grand. But it's not much point telling somebody 9 months after the year end, this is what you should have done last year. What you want to be doing is, on the 11th month, is talking to Shivani's team and saying, well, okay, my bookkeeping's up to date, my invoice is up to date. What do you reckon I should do in the next month to try and reduce my tax bill? Legitimately, of course, but you take advantage of the regulations to help you do that. But the only way you can do that is if you keep your banking and your bookkeeping up to date, and that helps the accountant give you advice. So those are the areas that I was asked to cover. if there are, I'm not sure if there are any questions that have gone into your chat box, but if there are any questions that people have, then I'm more than happy to try and explain them, although I'm sure Shivani would be able to explain them as well.
Thank you, David. That was great. We do just have one question. Someone just asked what CIS is. So can you just give a definition of that, please?
Yeah, my apologies. CIS is the Construction Industry Scheme. It's a scheme that the government run to basically make sure that people who are working on construction sites pay the correct amount of tax. There's an awful lot of movement in and out of that. So what happens is that usually 20% of an invoice payment to a subcontractor is deducted at source and paid to the revenue. And then our software doesn't expect to receive that 20%, but it does make the calculation so that it does the bookkeeping work in the background. Sorry, I'm just confusing people.
No, that's great. Thank you, David. We don't have any more questions at the moment, so I'll hand back over to Shivani. Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks, David. David, I have one question just quickly. Free agent app, I just wanted to know if there's anything that the app cannot do. Is there any restrictions on the app, or can it do everything?
What it doesn't do, which I'm sure you wouldn't want your clients to do anyway, is it doesn't approve or file compliance work such as VAT returns or RTI filing, pay filing, or anything like that. But you can do, if I can work this, if you forgive me if this goes wrong, let me just try and see if I can you see my mobile app now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, ignore all the other things. That's the mobile app, and as you can see, and if I can get it to work, it has this big green button which allows you to do all of these same things like taking expenses, mileage, just exactly the same as if you were doing it on the desktop app. So let's just why don't we just do this one again? So this is £5 this time, and it's coffee, and I'll take a picture of my glass of water and I'll use it and I'll save it. Now, what it will then show, I'll rate it, I'll rate free agent later. So it's already shown up there as an expense with the attachment, but I will show you on the desktop as well. And therefore, if you're going back into your banking, you've got all these unexplained bank transactions I mentioned to you. It shows you invoices coming in, which are overdue, and it also shows you any money going out, these expenses that we just talked about, well, that Vodafone bill that I set up just a few minutes ago. And if you wanted to set up a new contact, you would just do it from here. So the mobile app is actually, quite frankly, you've got everything in there. You've got your mini P&L. You've got the tax timeline, as I mentioned to you. It's there. It's also up here is this new radar thing, which is actually going to tell you, it's an admin to-do list. It's just telling you, to do certain things, and giving you little sort of tips and hints. Although I'm sure Shivani's team will keep you straight. But let me see if I can go back to that. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Hit the wrong button there. So I'm back to my previous overview page. Hopefully you can see it. There is the coffee that we just put in there. And there is my glass of water showing there. The beauty of that is if you were talking to your accountant and they said, and you said, oh yeah, I've got this receipt and I want to claim the VAT on it, and the VAT has to be done today. The accountant said, I need a copy of that receipt before you can claim the VAT on it. You could be sitting there on a train, you take a picture of it, you upload it, you explain your bank transaction, and the accountant has it in real time. So you're not having to send it in, email it in, do anything like that. You're just needing to use the mobile app to help you and your accountant get the best out of FreeAgent. Is there anything else that I can explain to anybody?
Thanks, David. That was quite informative. I don't think we have any further questions. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar. So we'll have another webinar next month on a different topic. So thank you all for attending.
That's great. Thanks again. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.